So I'm sure you've heard recently of Neuralink, which is one of Elon Musk's, until recently, less well-known companies. It focuses on basically having, as it says here, implantable brain-machine interfaces to directly control and communicate with the brain. And the reason why it's been getting so much attention recently is because Elon Musk says that Neuralink is ready for brain surgery. Today we're going to be delving a little bit deeper into it. So this video is going to be educational, but I'm also going into it with a relatively clear slate. There is a fantastic article on waitbutwhy.com, they're quite famous. It's about Neuralink. So I'll just summarize the first part for you. Basically, it explains how living organisms evolved until eventually it came to hominids, and they developed tools, but then they developed communication, which obviously was extremely important. It basically kick-started progress. Tribal knowledge growth before language. Tribal knowledge growth trajectory after language. Language gives a group of humans a collective intelligence far greater than individual human intelligence. Forming social structures and things like that. And then came an even more advanced form of communication, which is communication via tech, via the internet, basically. The computer colossus, and it describes it as Popeye spinach for the human colossus. And then they go into a lot of background about the brain. This is Bok. Bok, we're really thankful that you and your people invented language, blah blah blah. So we show Bok all these things like a telescope, TV, iPhones, all that stuff, and obviously he's frazzled. But when we show him communication, he's kind of underwhelmed because it's just talking. It's just literally the same. So there are different ways to do it, brain-machine interfaces. The first one is using the motor cortex as a remote control. So the motor cortex is the one that regulates movement, and they use EEG headsets, which I think send electric signals. Sensory substitution, yeah. Artificial ears and eyes. There are a couple of reasons giving sound to the deaf and sight to the blind is among the more manageable BMI categories. So yeah, these are basically highly advanced hearing aids that plug straight into the brain so that people who are deaf or who are blind can actually hear and see things. And BMI, brain-machine interface type 3, deep brain stimulation. So using electrode wires, they can reduce the tremors of people with Parkinson's disease, reduce the severity of seizures, chill people with OCD out. It's not yet FDA approved. This is the very early stage, and this is when Elon Musk first stepped into the industry. So Tesla formula: everyone drives a gas car, company innovation, affordable super popular electric cars, the company just funds itself. Industry innovation: every major auto company works on making a great electric car, which is already kind of happening. The advent of sustainable energy will happen sooner, reduce risk of environmental or economic catastrophe. So yeah, Neuralink formula. We don't really know the boxes yet. So essentially, we know what Neuralink is trying to do now. What they're trying to do is to develop brain-machine interfaces, i.e. to directly control different parts of the brain using an external controller, basically. Because there's never been more than a couple hundred electrodes in a human brain at once. Same thing with computer chips, with Moore's law, actually. It looks very similar. Major hurdle 2, which is the last one, I think, implantation. So yeah, they're trying to get it a little bit less invasive. Current innovations. A team at the University of Illinois is developing an interface made of silk. Silk can be rolled up into a thin bundle and inserted into the brain relatively non-invasively. Oh yes, so I've heard of this neural mesh. It's and it just encapsulates the brain completely so that every part is connected. You're already digitally superhuman. The thing that would change is the interface, having a high bandwidth interface to your digital enhancements. Yeah, so basically what he's saying is that we have access to the entire internet already, but the interface is just a bit shit. We have to buy computers or phones, type into them, search. But if we could just do that literally just by thinking, whole brain interface is that upgrade. It changes us from creatures whose primary and secondary layers live inside the head and whose tertiary layers lives inside the pocket, to creatures whose all three layers live together. So communication speed today. Human to human, human to computer, human with itself, computer to human, computer to computer and computer with itself. It's much higher than this graph. So yeah, obviously because computers are so efficient and they need less time to perhaps process things, they can perform this millions of calculations a second. It would make sense to essentially speed up our thinking and speed up all our interactions, just exponentially. Thought communication. Elon says, if I were to communicate a concept to you, you would essentially engage in consensual telepathy, but the conversation would be conceptual interaction on a level that's difficult to conceive on right now. That really is incredible. Imagine every time you have a discussion, no more misunderstandings, no more trying to grasp what they're talking about. It's just like that. It's just direct. Even weirder is the concept of a group thinking together. This is what a group brainstorm could look like in the wizard era. That type of communication would have a huge impact on the pace of innovation, as scientists and engineers could work more fluidly together, and it's just as likely to have a transformative effect on the public sphere in the same way that emails, blogs, and Twitter have successfully changed public discourse. So just imagine the change that social media and the internet made, and probably double that. I think that's what we're looking at here. This is huge. It really is huge. I mean, the technology, it's basically still in its infancy, but this is a huge deal. Multimedia communication. Yeah, okay. Emotional communication, sensory communication. There are loads of problems with the way our bodies do what it does. The reason obesity rates are so high, excluding socioeconomic stuff and political stuff, is because we crave sugar. Because back then, 50,000 years ago, our brains and limbic systems were just oh, you know what? It's sugar. It's gonna be really, really high in caloric value. We better eat as much of it as possible before we move on, because we were nomadic and all that. But now we just have sugar freely at our fingertips, but our limbic system doesn't recognize that, so we just keep gorging on sugar and becoming really unhealthy. Another thing is public speaking. The flight or fight reaction obviously is natural, and sometimes it can be even quite good, but it does give people anxiety and things like that. So yeah, definitely. I think so there are two main things about Neuralink, right? So it enables us to communicate with each other, but it also enables us to fix our own problems inside of our head, and that is really scary, but also really awesome at the same time. So take control of mood disorders. That's exactly what I was just saying. Depression, anxiety, OCD. Increase your knowledge. Damn, no. That's incredible. That's very scary. Computers crash. Trolls. Holy shit, computers can be hacked. Literally. Yes. Once we essentially connect computers to our brains, if the computer hacked, it could really fuck us up in some of the worst ways possible. So yeah, definitely that is very, very, very scary. The darkest possible scenario would be an ISIS type organization actually influencing millions of people. Yeah, let's not think about that. Why the wizard era will be a good thing anyway. So in here they basically say every technology is a bit scary to people who don't understand it, like horses, the steam engine, all that stuff. But we wouldn't want to go back to the days where we don't have horses or cars or steam engines or social media even, or the internet or air conditioning, because on the whole it improves our lives. So yeah, I think that's probably what we'll see, I hope. He's accepted reality. The human colossus is not going to quit until the computer colossus one day wakes up. So what he's trying to say is that he thinks that basically humans will live until sentient AI is a thing. That's what Elon Musk thinks. So that is the merger of human and AI as one entity. That's interesting. We don't want to develop digital and superintelligence too far before being able to do a merged brain-computer interface. So Elon Musk has another company called OpenAI, which works on AI. But he's saying that he doesn't want to develop that too far. He wants to focus on Neuralink now, because obviously having an extremely intelligent superintelligence before you have a proper controllable brain-computer interface would just be disastrous. And that's why Elon started Neuralink. So here we see the actual formula. Starting point, company innovation, breakthroughs in bandwidth and implantation, like we saw. Mass adoption of the whole brain interface, widespread human AI integration, reduce existential risk, increased chance of a good future. So why he wants us to integrate with AI, human AI, to become one entity is because he thinks that it will reduce the existential risk. Like he said earlier, he thinks that AI will be the downfall of humanity essentially. But if we merge with them, then surely we would be there would be an increased chance of a good future. I was gonna say unstoppable, but you know. Elon Musk sees his Neuralink merging your brain with AI. So yeah. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a like, comment, whatever. I hope you found this really interesting, because I really like just sitting down and going through these, and yeah, I find them so interesting, and narrating them out in this fashion just makes it like 10 times better. So thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed.